Well, good morning, all. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. You're back to the Destry Wade channel. Homeless Surfer here at your service. Um, well, it's Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to be a simple presentation because I don't have a lot of business to talk about today, but what the heck? I want to keep posting and keep things going and start getting noticed a little bit. Thank you guys so much. I mean, really, for all the people that went on and watched this thing is so cool. I am so stoked. You don't even know. So, anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully, if I ever become famous, that's all I got to say. Thank you. Um, People make you successful. You just put yourself out there and then people decide if you're worth watching. So thank you. It was really good, dynamic results last couple of days. So thank you again. I can't say it enough. Anyway, so you should be getting this buy me cup of man. This thing's so hard. I'm so frustrated trying to get this buy me the cup of coffee thing up. But I'm gonna keep on it. My Amazon affiliate's starting to get going, and I got a sponsor. I think I'm gonna have my first sponsor, which is paid directly to me. I mentioned them on this, and has nothing to do with YouTube at all. It's just an extra thing to help the homeless surfer stay housed because I really don't want to go back. But anyway, um, so that's kind of the business side. I was really thinking, man, you know, kids left, kids are on their way out, and oh boy, last night it really started to hit me, started making me think. But the you can't get sad. You can't be sad. The whole point of this channel is to be happy. I want you to tune in and get stoked about the day. That's why I'm going to start, I think, doing these in the morning, so you might be able to check them in the morning and get some motivation. I mean, look at my dumb ass. If I can do it, you can do it. Stand up, do it. You got it. I know you can. Oh, by the way, the microphone works best this way. It kind of works on the lapel, but not as prevalent. It still has, and I got to get a rug in this place because the echo of the hardwood floor, the linoleum hardwood floor, um, is definitely noticeable. So yeah, I'm learning, man. Every day is a new step. Good thing about like rugs and stuff like that, you just put the word out, and some some recycler will find one in the trash and bring it to you. So, and that's one thing good about the rugs is bugs can't get on them that you don't see. Can't never bring furniture. If you ever go homeless and then get a house, or even just get a house and you think, hey, there's a lot of nice stuff in the alley, and there is. So I found TVs that work there, big screen TVs, everything. But man, you got to watch the bugs because you get two cockroaches in like even a little TV. All of a sudden, you got a million cockroaches running around your house. It's crazy. Here at this place, when you move in, they actually make you heat everything you have, so it kills any kind of bed bugs or cockroaches. And know this for sure, dude. Some of the people that move into this place are carrying cockroaches, probably in their pockets. They're just, it's just nasty, man. They're not back to being socialized. I mean, we can, and I do see it that people can become animalistic, survivalistic. Um, Politeness and that kind of thing just goes way out the door. They don't have room for that. They just got to eat, and they got to do their drug. The most worst thing is the ones that got the issues, with the dope and the alcohol, where you got to have it. You get up in that morning, and there's no way you're going to get through a couple hours without it. And I look at these poor kids that do these new drugs, these fentanyls and stuff. My God, I don't even know how they hustle because they're bent over so bad they can't even function. They can't walk, stand straight, nothing. I don't even know what they do. I have no idea. That's the next generation's deal. Whatever they're doing, I don't think it's probably good though. I would say they're doing labor in between their scissor effect moments. But anyway, I digress. So see, forgot where I was. I do that. Get off subject. Totally forget where you are. Oh well. Hey. But anyway, staying positive. Keep going. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. We're gonna do it. Oh man. So yeah, talking about the kids and how much you can miss somebody. Um, It's again, it's one of those things that it's a beauty. It's beauty. I really love the fact that my daughter's grown into the woman and the mother she has, and I love the fact that my grandkids are being looked out for their best interest because it is. We've talked about that before. It's the best interest for the kids, for the family, to go somewhere other than California to get started because California's losing its mind. I'll never leave. I can't. I just can't. No matter what happens, I will never leave. Most likely east of five in the rest of my life. There's no point. I didn't leave east of five most of my life. So, a few years here and there, but yeah, it's where I want to be. And I was watching Bill Maher, and he was talking about he's not leaving California. He loves it. It's still Cali, and I still love it. But it's a little crazy um, at sometimes here, especially when it comes to the cost of living here and being taxed. I mean, God forbid you get a car. See, I don't have a car. I don't have any of that stuff. So they can't get me and get me and get me like they get the poor kids. They got to have a car to get to work and got to pay the insurance to have the car. Got to pay the registration to get the insurance to have the car. Jeez, man, and it adds up to where like my kids are paying like 1,200 a month with insurance and gas and car payment. I'm like, how do you? I didn't even pay that much rent when I was their age. My first apartment was $250, and it was a two-bedroom apartment. It was 500 total because it was a two-bedroom. We split it. Me and my friend. You can afford that. I only made 700 a month at the time while I was going to college. That was the first couple of years of college, but totally affordable. It wasn't hard. It wasn't even hard if you really had if you really had financial sense, you could actually keep within your percentages, your 25 and 30% numbers, 33% numbers that you want, your 10% savings numbers. That's financial responsibility. That's called living within your means. And if you only take 25% and that's what you have, that's what you have for rent. So you got to find a place within that if you really want to grow your finances in the long run, which most of us know now. Unfortunately, I didn't do it like that. I was struggling month to month, week to week sometimes just to keep two kids and my third kid, my adopted kid, all safe and sound and fed. Feeding, man, was alone. I look at that. I look at my kids and think, dang, man, they're so big. How much food did I pay for to make that body for them? They owe me. They owe me food for sure. I shouldn't have to worry about food the rest of my life with those three. But because I'm telling you what, you look at a 200-pound man and you think, how much food, how much poundage of protein did that kid eat? I'll tell you, it broke me every month. It was, jeez. My kids got mad because I started locking cupboards and stuff. It's like, you can't just snack, man. There's a plan to this food thing. So, because I don't want to just work for food, it's really, that was later in life, not when I was raising the kids. But yeah, so um, they just eat and eat. But anyway, um, ah, jeepers. I'm sorry. I'm having major brain aneurysms today, but it's still a good day. You know, things are going to change. They are changing, and what I've learning to do is just adapt to it. Jeez, all of a sudden your knees don't work like they used to. Well, adapt. You got to, or you sit around and whine and cry about it. But hey, no one said this is going to be easy at the end. Flip, I'm in my fourth quarter, and trust me, in my third quarter, those last 20 years before I hit 60, most of them were debaucherous. I mean, completely insane. I look at if you look at my life in four, if I look at my life in four separate quarters, saying 1 to 20 was a quarter, I was way ahead of the game by the time I got to that first quarter done. In college, had a great high school career, grew up in a happy place with a happy family, and didn't have any problems to create any kind of animosities or angers or issues inside of me, other than just normal growing up. But that's stuff you get over early, quick. Once you leave high school, that's all done. I think, at least for me. And like I said, I didn't have a hard time. But then you got the 20 to 40. That for me was definitely a mixed bag. 10 years of it was sprint. Well, 8.5 in prison. Uh, a year and a half in rehab. I went through a divorce, but at the same time, in that same period of time, I had two children. Best days of my life. The other days were the worst days of my life. Bad decisions catch up with you. So it did. It caught up to me, and they took my freedom for it. And that would have been fine because I've never been a guy to say you don't deserve what you get if you screw it up. Hey, you drive 60 and it's 55, don't bitch. My dad taught me that when I was young because he got a ticket for driving like 56 in a 55. And he went to the judge. He said, "Well, Judge, I was only driving 56." The judge said, "Well, the speed limit was 55. You broke it. That's the line." And my dad taught us that lesson. And that is the line, you know? So you can't, you can't, you can't excuse yourself um, from having to pay the consequences of your choices. My choices. No one held a gun to my head and said, "Hey, you should drink right now." In fact, everybody around me said, "Hey, you know what? Your grandpa was an alcoholic. You probably want to watch your alcohol intake because I can see right away you got the signs." And these are older people that have been around alcohol. My uncles, who were alcoholics, they saw it and they warned me. But I'm not hearing it. Kids don't hear crap. So, you got to take the choices I made. And people might ask, how'd you end up in prison? Let me clarify that. Coming out of high school, everything was great. Went to college, got married. Just happened to be the mid '80s. And believe it or not, if you're in those days, cocaine was very popular and very accepted. It hadn't destroyed stuff yet, at least not in our group. We didn't know any or see any kind of, oh my God, the dude became a cokehead. Yeah, we didn't see that. That came later. Um, so I was in a fraternity and I was up at the University of Utah. And what happened was I'd drive home for holidays down I-15 through Vegas, see my uncles and aunts, and hang out in Vegas for a day, and then I'd head on down to home. And so I'd spend my holidays down home, Easter, Christmas, New Year's Eve, that kind of thing. Summer, not so much because I hurried through college, so my summers I was still going back and forth. I was still staying up at school. But anyway, being from California, San Diego specifically, in the '80s, cocaine was and being up in Utah for school, cocaine was hard to get. They had to go. Sometimes just one dude I knew that'd go get it on a Friday night, and we all thought it was cool to use on the weekends and stuff. We were weekend warriors, we call ourselves, and they'd go up to Wyoming to get it. I'm like, God damn, and it was always crappy, crappy, crappy stuff. So anyway, I just happened to mention to my fraternity brothers, trying to impress them my freshman year when I was still pledging. Hey, my best friend's brother's really into this thing. He deals with a lot of it. Let me see what it'll cost. So the frat brothers put some money together. I went down. Oh, sure shit, dude. There it was. I made on my first thing I ever did as a freshman in college. I'm 18 and a half years old. Christmas break. I go home. I score this for them. I make $10,000. And $10,000 in '85 was a lot more money than it is now. I don't know the transitional rates and all that stuff, but it was more money. It was good money. You'd go to work all month and make 800, 900, $1,000 as a college student and that was being a waiter and a bartender. So I was always, made pretty good money for my group. But anyway, so that's how it started. Throw a couple of kilos in the suitcase as I left my mom and dad's house. My best friend Dean, who was my best man at my wedding, and on the football team with me in high school, everything. His brother was the supplier, so worked out good. It was not dangerous or nothing, nothing anyone would notice because we all hung out together anyway. So I loaded up in my bag and hop in my car and head up I-15 back to school. I bring it with me, and like I said, I made 10 grand. That for me was I didn't have to really work. I still worked a little bit, but it wasn't a big concern. And then oh, I want to go skiing. That wasn't a problem. I didn't have to worry about ski lift tickets. I had the money. So it's really easy to get caught up on that part, the easy money. And it is easy money at first. And it was easy money the whole time. It really was. And that went on for 4 solid years. No problems, none at all. And then the University of Utah had a way good law school. So there was no way I was going to that law school. I didn't do bad in college, but I wasn't, in that top ranking in my class or anything of that nature. So I got UNLV down in Nevada, which I passed through every holiday and every time I went back and forth home and back to school, had a brand new law school they were going to open up. First law school at UNLV ever opened that year. And so the acceptance level was a little bit less than the others because they just needed to fill up the schools that first year. And so I got accepted, and I was married at the time. So I said, "Cool, we'll go down there." And my brothers, my frat brothers, still wanted me to hook them up in Utah. So I hooked them up with the idea that they had to come down to Vegas and meet me. And then when I went and visit, I'd go down and visit my parents because now I'm only 4 or 5 hours from home. So it's not too hard to get home. So I made them at that point. Said, I got a wife, I got a kid on the way. My first son was coming, and you got to come down here. At the same time, I met a dude that was selling me weed. Um, just my personal stash. And I got big personal stashes. Like I get a quarter pound at a time type of thing. So I can give it to my friends and smoke people out. It was just a social thing to do. So I did that. And the guy that I met that was selling me the weed, a year and a half, now it's 2 years later. And I've been doing this the whole time, get my pay in my law school. I don't have any loans. My law school's paid off. I live in a nice apartment, drive nice cars. Things are good. 6 years that I've been doing this now, bringing that cocaine from California to now. I only had to go to Nevada. I didn't have to get into Utah. But here's the kicker. And I'll always say this. There's not a guy sitting on the prison yard who probably has not been ratted out by his best friend, his brother, somebody he trusted more than anybody, because no one else can get you. If you have any common sense of what you're doing, it's not hard to slide under the law, at least not in the 80s, 90s. I'd say it's a lot harder now with these technologies, but I don't want to mess with it. I learned my lesson. It only took once. I'm not a I'm not an overly repeat offender. I'll go into that in a sec. But yeah, so anyway, one night the guy that I was buying the weed from, he ended up getting busted. This is 1989 by now. So it's just barely going into 19. It's the end of 89. And he gets busted with some weed. But that was when Vegas had a zero tolerance. It's because I was in prison with guys. I didn't even know this until later. That if you get caught with a seed, that's a marijuana charge. And back in our day, most of you remember, you go to jail for smoking weed. Selling weed for sure, you're probably going to go to jail for sure. Not probably, you're going. They're going to take your triple scale, your triple beam, and your freaking bag of weed, and they're out, man. And you're in handcuffs. So never had that happen. Now my friend did. He got busted, but I wasn't real like I only saw him when I bought weed. But he knew what I did because my dumbass had a mouth that told people shit that they didn't need to know at the time. Okay, live and learn. But he got busted, turned me in. Who would have knew that I was being monitored, tracked, and surveilled? Unbelievable. Because I'm just me. I mean, I'm never a threat to anybody. I'm not armed. I'm not like, making big deals over here, multiple deals. It's not my life. It's just something that I do. And so he decided that my ass was more worthy to go to prison than his. The bad news is he probably would have got a 3 year probation on his charges that I know now because I've been in the system a long time. Versus me, because I was busted January 3rd, 1990. George W. Bush's minimum mandatory sentencing started January 1st, 1990. What sucks about that is now when you get caught possessing cocaine, because that was the crack. Crack screwed everything up, man. Once that crap came in, everybody got freaked out, and the sentences got meaner. And so stood before the judge at sentencing day, and he said, "I wouldn't send you to prison." He goes, "But I don't have a choice. The government is forcing me to. So I'm going to give you the mandatory minimum, which is a 10 year. You do. I did 8.5 years, and got out. My son was now 10 years old. And it's 1990. Well, it was about 7 years by the time I did, because I got some meritorious time, and I was on fire camp, so that helps. You got more time. So I was out of there in like 7 years, I think it was, something like that. Can't remember it all. Those are the things you forget. You definitely try to forget those things, though you never can. The things I saw, the places that I've been, I couldn't even describe to you. And you don't even need to know. Those are horrors. Listen to other people's stupid stories. But those are horrible things. Those are horrible times. And even worse, like I started this thing with, I always said that if you accept your responsibility for your actions, you should be able to get out of constant persecution and prosecution. You don't. When you go to prison, you are now a felon. And though you think, hey, I came in, I did my time just as I said I would, and I was honorable and decent in prison, and I actually learned stuff. I continued my education. I got into physical fitness, huge. Was into the fire camp thing. Was into self aid. Was into teaching people because I had a college degree. I was into teaching people in the prison. So I paid my price that way. But when you got out, no, that's your price isn't done. Forever, you're going to be a felon, and they're going to bring that up. Now, that's your first knockdown. That's my first knockdown. They keep doing it. See, they want to keep you down. Once they turn you into a victim, they want to keep you as a victim. My first victimization was the prison, and that would have been fine because I screwed up. I knew that you don't sell cocaine. I knew that was against the rules. I chose to break the rules, and then I got caught doing it. And hey, got to bang those erasers together, man. So I did it. But once the erasers were clean, they never let me forget what happened. And they continue to keep you down. Now, keep in mind, I didn't help myself because I was drinking heavy and doing a little drugs, got kind of crazy on the drugs, and then started getting myself picked up for dumb shit like being out at 3 in the morning trying to score dope in the middle of a blank street. I don't know what the hell, man. Drugs will make you crazy. So, you get more trouble. But all my stuff was basically drug related, alcohol, foolishness, DUI, stuff like that. Hard to believe though, I only had one DUI in my entire life. Not that I didn't drive way more than that. But the good Lord blessed me. So anyway, that's kind of the experience that I had that put me in prison. I got out. My son was 10. My wife was done, and as far as taking care of him full time by herself, so I basically got him in my house. So I was raising him now, and it was great. And then all of a sudden, I met my daughter's mom, younger lady. I was just hitting 30s, and I wasn't happy about. I felt like I was getting old, so I got hooked up with a younger girl. Mistake. A 19, 20-year-old girl has no understanding of what a 30, 35-year-old man knows. And probably the same other way. It's just you really don't have a lot to relate to, other than the physical thing. There's no real ability to intellectually connect. At least there wasn't in this situation for sure. I don't know about all of them. Can't speak for everybody else, just for myself. But yeah, it just wasn't compatible. But I had a daughter, so now I've got, and she just wasn't. She didn't want to be. She wasn't ready to be a mom. She's too young. She was just finishing college. You know what I mean? So I took the daughter. So now I got my two kids on my own, and I'm raising them. And I'm an alcoholic and doing the best I can. But I work hard, and I was doing legal marketing because, like I said, I did finish law school. I was done with law school. Sickening thing is, I got busted in January. I graduated law school in April. But guess what? I can't join any bar association in the entire world. Will not have me. So what did I do? Well, I became a paralegal for a while and then figured out that, hey, you know what lawyers really need? They need clients. They need business. They're just like everybody else. They're businessmen. But they suck at it. They're great at lawyers, but they're not real good at business. So I took my natural sales ability and started going out and getting work and found, boy, I make $200 a client. I bring this guy and I can bring him 3, 4 a day. I was raking in, and it was good because I had my kids and I had I had to move freely because, when you're a single dude raising two children, you gotta be able to go get them and move them, and yeah, and I was not big on trusting other people to do stuff. I was still kind of in the sense that, especially with my daughter, that I had to take her everywhere, and yeah, I wasn't real cool with leaving my daughter. My boys, yeah, they were fine. My other son, who became my third child, but he was my son's best friend, and he just kind of came home with my son one day and just stuck. And Ryan's awesome, even after Ryan's still awesome. So anyway, um, that's kind of what got me up till about 10 years ago, where my daughter finally got old enough and she got married and left and was out of the house. And I got to the point where my marketing was bad. My alcoholism had gotten really extreme. I was having a real hard time even getting motivated. And we, the president of the company And you got employees, which I did. They're trying to figure out what the hell to do. They just don't even know because you're not there doing your job, being the leader, or I was not there. So I just kind of let the whole. I turned it over to my personal assistant. Said, do what you want. She just basically shut it down, paid everybody off, and shut it down. And I decided that I didn't want to flip and get some shitty job just so I could pay rent. So I decided, hell with it. I'm gonna go live on the beach, do what I do. I grew up down on the beach all summer long. Total normal thing. My mom take us down to the beach in the morning. She'd go home for a while. We'd surf and play around in the sand, and she'd come back and she'd bring lunch, and we'd eat lunch and hang out till Dad would come down, and Dad would surf, and we'd go in the water again and surf. And sometimes they'd have fires and barbecues out there at night, and we'd set up campfires and stuff. And that was great. And we slept out there all the time. Totally normal for us to say, Mom, can we sleep on the beach tonight? I lived about a third of a mile, maybe half a mile from the beach. So it wasn't far. And back then it wasn't scary either. There was no, you just didn't hear about that shit. I'm sure it still happened. You just didn't hear about it like you do now. Now, everything, you got to hear about every damn thing. Murder in Belgium, that's great. I'm sure they have their problems in Europe. I don't need to hear about it here in America. We got our own. I'd rather not even hear about that. But anyway, so yeah, I just decided to say, the hell with it. I got my disability coming in, which is all of $600 a month. Um, this is a no income housing because I'm disabled. They're trying to take it. They might try to put me back in the street, as I've told you. That's what they're going back and forth. Uh, hey, what are you gonna do? Take the good with the bad. I could let that totally devastate me, and some people would. They'd just be overwhelmed. And I was the very first time I walked out of a house to the street, knowing that I had nowhere else to go but find a bush or somewhere that I could lay down, be safe, and sleep. Huh? Trust me, that was a cheerful night. But that wasn't this 10 years. That was way back. I mean, I ended up homeless a couple times because of my drinking. Especially before I went to prison. When I was waiting to go to prison, I didn't care anymore either. I was like, oh, my life's over. I'm going to prison for life. They said I could possibly do life. Didn't realize I could get the minimum, but I shut it down. So yeah, that was the first time I ended up homeless. But now I've been there. I've done that. So if you walk out of here, you walk out with a backpack, this chair, these equipment will be inside the bag, so I can continue to do this because we can. I can charge this at the library and keep going. There's no reason not to. And probably hook up. I got, like I said, just friends who we'll work with to keep this thing going. Because I like doing it and I like talking to you guys. Like I said before, I feel like we're become family, man. And I want to motivate you. I want you to say, Jesus, this dude can be positive. Maybe I can too. I've got a house and I've got a car, but you got the payments of those things, and those stresses do create unhappiness. So I'm not telling you don't go be homeless because that's a good thing, but don't live in a way that your lifestyle creates a bad situation where you're just not happy. You're living great. There's a lot of people that are alive, but they're dead. I know a lot of dead live people, a lot of zombies. They're all over the place, and I don't personally choose, and I subscribe to other folks that say I don't choose to be miserable. It's easy to be miserable. I can get up and be pissed. I can be pissed and my legs hurt. I can be pissed and my lungs hurt. I get up and I can't breathe. I can't. It's hard, man. And I'm still smoking, so I can't bitch about my lungs. You know why? I was told a long time ago, the day I first lit that first cigarette by my mother, that you're going to kill yourself with that crap. Well, it's the box that I smoked out of every time too. It said the same thing. You're gonna kill yourself with this crap. Did I was warned. I chose to just never mind. I'm gonna do it anyway. So when you get to this point and you're having problems because of it, don't start blaming people. That's just gonna make you mad. You did it. I did it. I kept lighting. I was still lighting the damn cigarettes. Still having cough fits. Ain't changed. Eh, it's okay. I'm okay with it. We're all gotta go. I gotta go. But I'm going to go doing what I enjoyed. And I'm going to go moving till I can't move no more. And I hope you will do the same. Just keep moving, man. Life is a good thing. It is a beautiful thing if you take your time to walk it and enjoy it. The problem we mostly have is we're always looking forward on the next goal. We got to hit that goal. Um, Enjoy the walk. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Enjoy that walk. So, anyway, well, guys, I wish you the happiest of Super Bowl Sundays. Please join me tomorrow. Let's chat some more. Please remember, like, subscribe, and make a comment. Ring the bell. You guys are coming in, man. I need you to help me because I want to do the live show and I need to have 50 subscribers. So that's what we're doing. We're on a subscription push. So like, subscribe, do all that stuff, but help me out here. I really need you. If I can get this thing up to the right level, I can actually not have to worry about this. I'll move back. I want to move back to the beach anyway. I like to just leave this no income housing thing because if I ever show you what's outside that door, you'd be shocked. But yeah, I want to get this thing rolling and get out of here. Go back to my beach. All right, guys. I love you. Sorry about the coughing. I'll try to get better. We're getting heated up again. So, anyway, happy Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not going to pick a team because I don't want to piss no one off. And I don't care. My life does not change based on who the Super Bowl champion is tomorrow morning.